Guys, Steph Curry broke the career record for threes last night. Threes made, of course. Ray Allen's record. In a 105-96 win over the Knicks. Great atmosphere at Madison Square Garden. Ray Allen was in the building. Reggie Miller was in the building on the call for TNT, just like he was when Ray broke Reggie's record, because the record went from Reggie Miller to Ray Allen to Steph Curry. But if you guys had to make one shot to win a game, right? So it's a three. Make 1 3. You say you're down 2, no time to make a pass. You got to shoot the 3 to win it or lose it. Steph, Reggie, or Ray? Who do you take?
Oh.
Who do you take to make that shot? This? So I asked Kendrick Perkins that question on This Just In yesterday. This is what he said.
Give me Ray Allen. I done been in too many big moments, too many game winners when this man has came through for us when we needed it the most. I watched him hit the big shot when he was with the Miami Heat. Look, when it's in the clutch, Ray Allen could be 1 for 9. Give him the ball when it's time to deliver for a game winner, and he's going to knock it down. Give me Ray Allen.
Now, to be fair, Kendrick Perkins played with Ray Allen. So, you got to take it with a grain of salt, although Ray Allen could shoot the lights out. Jay, those three guys.
Why do I have to do this?
Those three
You're making
guys,
me chop other guys to pick one. I hate this.
Fate of the universe on the line.
So, obviously, Ray Allen, the shot that is forever in my brain is NBA Finals, that shot from the corner that he made, one of the most clutch shots I've ever seen. But with this being said, this is so tough. There's something about 90s basketball for me. There's nostalgia with it, Max. I'm from Jersey, a Nets fan. Watching Reggie Miller in some of the most clutch moments I've seen against the New York Knicks, understanding from a guy who's played the game and, kind of early 2000s was on the fringe of the game transitioning to more threes, a little bit more of the finesse, what was transitioning from the physicality of the league in the 90s. How much holding and scrapping and clawing went on in the 90s for Reggie Miller? Like, to me, he made those clutch shots that I would, in a big game situation, I would take Reg.
Who would you take in that to take that one shot between the top 3 guys in terms of threes made all time? Steph, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller.
I probably, to be honest with you, it feels like I'm going off feel now. Mm-hmm. It feels like I would take Reggie or Ray before I do Seth. And the reason I'm looking at it from a Steph standpoint is I don't know that I've seen Steph take as many game-winning shots and make them over the course of his career, and partly due to the fact that he ain't never behind like that. He's always been up, and he never had to really take those shots, even though he's taken some in moments, in the bulk of his threes is throughout the course of the game, where it seems like to me growing up in Jay mentioned the 90s, well, Ray Allen is in the 90s too. Ray Allen just happened to play into the 2000s because of his age. I've seen Ray take those shots, whether it was in college, at UConn, or in the pros. So those would be 1 to 2, and if I had to pick one, I'm probably feeling like I'm going to go with Reggie Miller over Ray Allen, even though every time you mention Ray Allen, I go back to Game 6 in that shot in the corner, in the release of the ball with a flick of the fingers, not even the wrist.
This gets to, like, I'll take Ray Allen, but I think the argument you make, Jay, is very interesting for Reggie Miller. And there's a difference to me between better and greater. Like, if you have one sport that you can do completely objectively and compare era to era, that's track and field, because you just get a time, right?
Yep.
And what you see is every sprinter today would dust Jesse Owens. They're all better than Jesse Owens. But how many are as great? Because better is just like who actually has more skills and all that, who would beat who. Greater is how they do in their era compared to their contemporaries, because, of course, every era builds on the next one, right, on the last one. So when you bring up Reggie, even if he's not as good a three-point shooter as Steph or Ray, maybe he's a greater three-point shooter than Steph or Ray. Maybe he was, compared to his contemporaries, at least as out in front of those guys as the next guys were in front of their contemporaries. That all said, when we talk about you just want to make a shot, to me that really is about better more than anything else because I'm just trying to get the ball to go in. Like, I just want the shot to be made. So Ray Allen, when you combine the level of shooting, because he came a little after Reggie, he shot it a little bit more, and I think a little bit better, just a little bit, because the next generation, and you combine the clutch factor with Ray Allen, just my feeling of him when he got the ball, and that, I'll take Ray Allen. That's why I take Ray Allen.
So there's...
I can go with Ray or I can go. I feel like I can live with Ray or Reggie in
exactly.
that situation.
Yeah. But I want to go to the third option because the third option is a guy that I'm still calling the greatest shooter to ever live, right? And I think this is, from a basketball perspective, it's important to clarify. See, the greatest three-point shooter in the game is different to me than the most clutch three-point shooter in the game.
Doubt.
Like, there are different styles or levels to that, right? And I still think for Steph, there's always things that you look to attain as an athlete. Like, his switch isn't going to turn off. Even last night, he's like, well, can you finally say you're the greatest shooter ever? He's like, yeah, I got that. But you can already tell in his mind he's moving on because he wants more. He wants to win another world championship. He wants to be one of the greatest to ever do it, not just greatest shooters. So for him, the next step where you start getting into this question about when those clutch moments come, how will Steph answer the bell? And there's still room for improvement on that with him, and that's scary where he's at because he's in the prime of his career right now.
Because he's number one. See, usually you say he's number 8 with a bullet, meaning he's on his way up. Steph is number 1 with a bullet because there's something that he can correct about, like can you still be at least your normal self when it matters most? And against Toronto, to me, in that series, he started to turn a corner in terms of making those big shots in the finals with the game on the line. He beat Kawhi in a night that Kawhi was hot, right? And they were and the Warriors were undermanned. That I was like, oh, look at Kawhi got this. Steph's not going to hit those shots, and he did. He hit them.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.